It is mid-year tarot tag time. So this is Chanel Days tag, VR to Chanel Days with the mid-year tarot tag. I think she switched it up a little bit, ever so slightly this year, but for the most part it remains relatively the same. So let's get into it. The deck you've used so far in 2025. It's the Tarot of Persephone's Garden, which, as usual, comes as a shock to me. I always am so surprised by the deck I've used the most. But this one is because in March, I was trying to do a daily tag, and this deck got used daily, multiple times a day in some cases. So it is out on top at the moment. And this is a favorite deck of mine. It's definitely one I enjoy, obviously, if I've used it a lot, but I would not have said it was the deck I used the most this year. But good thing I keep stats so that I have that information on hand and accurate. So the deck I've used the most so far is the Tarot of Persephone's Garden. Love that linen cardstock. I love the images, the paintings that were selected. Great little deck. So we'll see if, I hope that, well, I don't hope necessarily, but by the end of 2025, I feel like there's going to be another one. I don't know. We'll see. I guess it depends on if I do any more like monthly challenges, because I find that's when I tend to use the most decks, or one deck the most is during those monthly challenges. So a new deck that came into your collection. I only have 2 tarot decks that have come in so far for 2025. So I do feel like these have kind of been shown a lot. I've picked one of them, and it is the Ancient Greek Tarot. There is a nudity warning for this deck, so prepare yourself. This was a Kickstarter that I backed back in October, and I received it in March of this year, and I love it so much. I was kind of on the fence about backing it, and I'm so glad that I decided to go ahead and back it. I would have said that this deck is the one I've used the most so far in 2025. It's a close second, but still not enough to make it first place. I really enjoy this deck. I enjoy Greek mythology, of course, but I enjoy the art style. I enjoy the colors. I enjoy the inclusivity. I really do like everything about this deck. And like I said, I'm really pleasantly surprised. I'm really glad that I decided to back it. And it's been shown quite a bit on my channel because it's only one of 2 new decks that I got in 2025. So that is the Ancient Greek Tarot for question 2. Question 3, deck that could be better. Oh man. At first this was rough. And then once I decided what deck, like once I kind of went through my list and looked at my names of decks that were options, once I came across it, I was like, oh, that's it. The Millennial Tarot. First of all, this box design, I don't know who thought this was a good idea. So we've got this like slide out book. Let's see if I can get the whole deck out without taking the book out. We did it. So the use of AI. The box does say in collaboration, made using AI in collaboration with artists. Now I know that that means it's just AI with some slight tweaking. And I feel like if you're going to make an AI deck, own it. Just own it. Just say it's AI. And yeah. So the box design, big no. The whole AI thing, I only have myself to blame for that because I should have done my research into what AI is. That being said, I think this deck is incredibly clever, which is why I bought it. I love the millennial references and the millennial titles that they're given. I don't love the art. It's not like this guy, that's kind of creepy. The art style is a little not my jam. But it's okay. Like it obviously wasn't enough for me to say I don't want to buy that deck. They've made slight changes to some cards from the indie version. I, of course, have the mass market version. However, another strike against this deck. I was using it recently with friends, which is what I've been wanting to do with this deck for so long. I thought they would love the millennial references. I thought they would think it's really clever. This came up and it was actually perfect timing. It was hilarious. It actually has some dirt on it from when I was using it. But I don't like the cardstock. And I don't know that I've ever really noticed it before. So it's like a thick cardboardy style cardstock. But when I shuffle, I like to take jumpers, and you can see it's shuffling in like clumps. And the jumpers were, it was quite a task to try and get a jumper. And when I did get a jumper, it came out in multiples. Like it would come out in like that whole chunk. And I was growing increasingly more frustrated as I was using it and shuffling it and trying to go for those jumpers. I ended up just taking the doubles. If only 2 cards popped out, I was like, you know what, that's good enough. So I would take 2 cards for 1 jumper. It's honestly what I had to do because of how it shuffles. So not loving the cardstock. I don't even like how the cardstock feels, to be honest. So box design, AI, and cardstock. This is the one, this gets my vote for a deck that could be better. Sorry, I always feel so bad, but it's an opinion. We're okay. We're okay to have opinions. Deck you're currently using. So if you saw my May monthly wrap up, you'll know I'm using my HP Tarot, which is now called the Wizard's Tarot and looks a little different. It has different backs, which is also now out of print. I don't know if it's coming back. Sorry. This is the one I'm using right now. It's kind of on its way out. The reason I was using it, again, a bit of a repeat if you watched my May monthly wrap up, the reason I'm using it is because I was reading Manacled, which is a Dramini fanfic, and a lot of the fan art is black and white. So I was like, yes, this is the vibe for right now. But now I'm done reading Manacled. So I kind of feel like the time has come and gone for the vibe of this deck, for the aesthetic, for the desire to use it. Although I still do feel like I want to use it, but I think it's time for me to pick another deck. It's time for me to work with something else. However, one of the pairings I had with this deck, again, repeat from May's video, has just blown me away. And I'm loving using them together. So I don't know. I don't know how much longer I'm going to work with this deck, but being that we're getting to the warmer summer months, I do kind of feel like I want more color in my life. But that Dramini vibe, oh, that Manacled vibe, so good. So, in case I didn't make it obvious, I'm going to keep this deck out because the next prompt is your biggest surprise. And my biggest surprise isn't one deck, but 2 decks together. And again, repeat from my May video, but the Craft and Decadence Oracle with this deck was an absolute shocker of a pairing. I cannot believe how much they vibe together, how much they gel together. It's perfection in a reading. It absolutely is. So positive disintegration, happy ending cycle, joyful death with the Emperor and the 3 of Wands. Precious apparition, outstanding revelation, cherished chimera, Queen of Cups and 8 of Swords. Divine hacking, ecstatic stroke, mystical boom, 5 of Wands, and the Hanged Man. Obsessive engineering. Monomaniacal focus, erratic concentration with the Sun and the 2 of Cups. So this has absolutely been the biggest surprise for me. And although I feel like I did kind of cheat a little bit, devastated versatility, wasted polyvalence, Forced Stop, King of Cups, and Wheel of Fortune. I'm being honest, this was my biggest surprise this year. So I cheated, but I kind of don't feel like I did. Manifested Darkness, Uninhibited Gloom, Explicit Blues with the Nine of Pentacles and Queen of Pentacles. Silent Treasure, Untold Epiphany, Secret Inspiration with the Hierophant and the Knight of Pentacles. So this is why I'm kind of struggling with moving on from the HP Tarot or the Wizards Tarot, because I feel like this is just so good. It's just so good together. Anabasis, Phoenix Rebirth, Exciting New Cycle with Justice and Five of Cups. We'll do one more here. Resumption of Power, Back to Sovereignty, Regained Strength with the Six of Swords and Knight of Cups. That's actually hilarious if you know this scene from the movie. Resumption of Power, Regained Strength works really well with what they're doing in this scene here. But back to the video. It was a huge surprise and I love it and I'm obsessed with working with it. I feel like I can't stop, but I also kind of feel like it's time to stop and, you know, maybe bust this out again in like Samhain time, because I usually do bust out the HP Tarot around that time of year. So maybe we'll put it away for a little bit and bring it back out in late September, October, even into November. I also feel like with it being a black and white deck, it can work in November, December, even a little bit of January perhaps. So that was my biggest surprise. Deck crush. This deck will forever be my girl crush for life. And that is the Sistine Tarot. It will always be my girl crush. I honestly don't think I will ever come across another deck that gives me girl crush feelings quite like this one. I haven't used it in a minute. There's been other decks that have kind of taken over, which is okay. I do feel like this is a more spring aesthetic in this deck. It did get used quite a bit in spring. But I also, because I do love this deck so much, I have no qualms busting it out any other time of the year. But yeah, definite girl crush vibes with the Sistine Tarot. Oh, even just going through it is making me want to use it right now. Maybe I will. Maybe we'll just spend a couple weeks with the Sistine Tarot and then go into something a little more summery, a little more vibrant, a little more colorful. I don't know. So good. So that is, it's deck crush, but it's my girl crush for sure. Favorite tarot card from a deck. This one I'm going to cheat again. So we're going, I don't even know why I put it away. We're going back to the HP Tarot. And maybe it's just because I'm using it right now and I'm obsessed with it right now. And I've really just been having the best time with this deck. I don't know. But I'm constantly coming across cards from this deck where I'm like, that is amazing. That is phenomenal. That was an amazing representation for this particular tarot card. So there's at least a couple that I can think of off the top of my head in here, just trying to find them. First of all, the fact that there's several cards in this deck that depict people that are sadly no longer with us. So anytime I come across those cards, it's always like, it gets you a little bit in the feels, or it gets me a little bit in the feels. I don't think McGonagall's only in one card, and it's only like a silhouette of the back of her, which is kind of shocking. I would think McGonagall would be in here more than once. Oh my god, another one, which we saw already. Oh, I'm dropping them, and I dropped another one that's no longer with us. Another one that's no longer with us. I probably even skipped a couple of people that are no longer with us. Of course, the one card I'm looking for is probably at the very end. Oh my gosh, it might be. Another one that's no longer with us. It is literally the very last card. So I have two that kind of tie for this position, but if I had to rank them, this would be second place. This death card is one of my all-time favorite death cards. And I think that it's a very personal preference, especially because of my connection and my love of Harry Potter. If you're not a Harry Potter fan, you're probably looking at that thinking, what? Like, first of all, it is very obvious. It's a very obvious choice for the death card for what happens in Harry Potter and this story. I can't remember what these three guys are called. Can't remember, but of course, it's going to be selected. But it's selected because it's perfection, first of all. My favorite, though, every time I get this card in a reading from this deck is the Strength card with Neville when he kills Nagini, which is, of course, a Horcrux. I just love it for the Strength card, especially because Neville has this kind of struggle with being perceived as weak, struggling with the grief from the loss of his family, all kinds of issues there. And he's the one that comes out on top and uses the Sword of Gryffindor to kill a Horcrux, which is running around a castle terrifying everyone else. He has the strength, the inner strength and the physical strength, although it didn't take much physical, but you get what I'm saying, to end this creature. Love it. One of my favorite cards ever. So yeah, maybe it's just a favorite card because I'm using this deck right now and I'm feeling so enamored with it. I don't know. So yeah, a little cheat. That deck was used for 3 prompts, but I promise we're done with it, I think. A deck that makes you happy. So this is prompt number 8. So with this prompt, immediately a certain number of decks came to mind, and every single one of them was a pop culture deck. So I think that speaks volumes about me and my deck collection. But I ultimately went with the unofficial Shitty Tarot. So good. So we have some extra cards and a guidebook. Now this deck I got from a Kickstarter, but you can get it. The website has changed a number of times, I think, but if you Google Hippie Juju Boutique, HIPIEJUJU, I think, Hippie Juju Boutique, it'll get you there. That used to be their website. I don't think it is their website anymore, but you should be able to find this deck that way. This is a fantastic show. In fact, I just had a girls' weekend this past weekend where I used the Millennial Tarot, and we discussed this show at length. I have used this deck with them many times. Otherwise, you're probably thinking, why didn't you bring this deck? They've seen this deck a lot. We've all used this deck many times, and many a girls' weekends. This deck has been busted out because I know a lot of us are fans of the show. But I had a board game that I actually got for Christmas that was from Dollarama, believe it or not. That is a Schitt's Creek board game. Sort of, not a board game, but a game. And that's kind of what sparked the discussion of this show. So back to the deck. Obviously, I love the show, and all of these cards bring up a memory, or especially a memory of a specific scene. Like this whole situation where they accidentally join a cult, hilarious. I could name every single one. This whole situation where they are both campaigning for town mayor, I think, or no, I can't remember what the exact title is, but she gets accused of stealing signs. I mean, I can tell you everything. I can tell you all of it, which is why I love it so much. The show is fantastic. If you have not watched it, absolutely go watch it. I think it should go down in history as a Canadian treasure. It is hilarious and it is perfection. So of course this deck makes me feel all those feels. I don't love the Wheel of Fortune, but of course the deck makes me feel all the feels and makes me want to watch the show as I'm flipping through it. I'm like, damn, when I am done, I am watching some Schitt's Creek. Fantastic show and fantastic deck. I think about this all the time, actually, this scene. Don't know why. So good. It was so well done. The cardstock is a lovely, flexible linen cardstock. Maybe a little too flexible. There is a card in here that I don't even know how, but I somehow bent it. I don't recall it happening. I just know that there's a bent card in the deck. Anyway, fantastic deck. Makes me happy, makes me laugh every single time I use it. And again, that's absolutely a personal preference because of my love for the show. So you might look at that and think, what? How can that deck make you happy? But that's what I love about these videos, is seeing everyone's different opinions. Deck with a great guidebook. We are going rogue, and we are going with an Oracle. Modern Goddess Oracle. I did have the Modern Love Tarot guidebook on this list, but I also really like the Oracle, and I just thought that the Oracle needed some love. One thing about these backs, all I see, I know it's the moon phases with like a mandala kind of design, but I see bowling pins and bowling balls every time I look at it. I can't unsee it. So let's take a peek at the deck. This is another one I've talked about all these decks, I think, at length. But we have 49 goddesses and 16 empowering archetypes in this deck. The cardstock is a little large, I will say. The artwork, I enjoy it, but I find it can make it a little tricky to find a match for a tarot deck. There are some tarot decks that are perfectly matched for this deck, and then there are others that I'm like, oh yeah, I can't use those together. Love this deck. I do love the artwork. I do love the art style. I do love the colors. Just sometimes doesn't work with everything I have, which is fine. I mean, it only doesn't work aesthetically. If you really want to use any Oracle deck with any tarot deck, go for it. Okay, so we get the idea. Let's take a look at the guidebook, which is why we're here. So, chunky monkey of a guidebook. Fantastic. Let's look at the spreads. Woo. Oracle card spreads. It's 2-card spread. Triple goddess spread. So Maiden, Mother, Crone. We have Divine Archetype spread. We have a Pentacle spread. Air, Earth, Water, Fire, Spirit circle. And then we have a Witch's Wheel Tarot spread. So all of the Sabbats, and I think that's it. So now we move on to the actual book. So we have the name of the goddess, Bridget, keyword, creativity, symbols, fire, anvil, and hammer, Bridget's cross, dandelions. So a lot of these are depicted in the card itself, which I love. It comes with an affirmation. I am a creative, expressive, dynamic being. Then we have Meet the Goddess, where they give a history of the goddess. Then we have a divination meeting. Then we have a work with Bridget. So spend your time experiencing something that inspires you. Music, art, a TED Talk, movies, dancing. Carry out a fire meditation. Make Bridget's cross out of wool, or make healing Bridget dolly out of natural materials. Then we have a shadow meeting. And then we have heal with Bridget. Make something deliberately wrong and explore playing with the imperfections in your creations. Love that. So there's lots going on in this guidebook. And her guidebook in the Modern Love Tarot is very similar. It's just more love centered, obviously. But there's like a single, there's committed, there's an ending of a relationship. There's all different types of breakdowns for what that tarot card could mean depending on where you're at with your relationship. Love that. But this one, I just wanted to show it some love. So fantastic guidebook for the the Modern Goddess Oracle. What deck do you want by the end of the year, or are still waiting on for question number 9? I backed the, I can't even remember the name of the actual tarot deck because I didn't back it for the tarot deck. I backed it for the add-on, which is the Amethyst Oracle. That has been a unicorn deck for me since I started my tarot journey. It has been out of print for the longest time. So I saw this Kickstarter come up, and it's a Canadian creator, which I love. So then I saw that the add-ons, if they reached a certain dollar amount, would be the Amethyst Oracle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going for it. So I backed the deck, even though the tarot deck is not one that I would have normally backed. But in order to get the Oracle, I had to back the tarot deck. So I have 3 decks coming from this one Kickstarter, which is why I'm really proud of myself that I only have bought 2 tarot decks so far this year, because those 3 are all coming at once, and that's going to be a doozy. but I'm very excited to finally get my hands on the Amethyst Oracle. It will be a mini version, but that's okay. I'm all for mini decks. They travel better and they work better on small surfaces, so fine by me. But that's the one deck that I am really looking forward to receiving by the end of the year. Oh, we're in June. I thought it was supposed to be shipped in June, but maybe not. Could be wrong. Which deck hasn't been used yet or barely that you want to work with this year? First of all, so many. Because I'm not using my spreadsheet to track decks, I'm finding less pressure to use as many decks as I possibly can. I'm still tracking them, but it's just on a piece of paper, so it's not as noticeable. Whereas on the spreadsheet, it was really like I could see the total, I could see the tally, and I can't see that on my paper version. So in doing it that way, I have a lot of decks that I have not worked with this year, which is okay. Not beating myself up about it. It doesn't mean I'm going to have a whole whack of decks that I have to get rid of by the end of the year or after the end of the year if I haven't used them. That's cool. I will still keep them. That's fine. But that number is getting high. So there are a lot of decks that I haven't used this year yet that I want to. But this is one that I have picked. It's the Gentle Tarot. I have the tin version. I don't know how I feel about this deck. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I hate it. We have extra cards and we have stickers. Love that. I don't know. I really don't know. I got the mini version. I just said I love mini decks. This one is a little tricky to shuffle. I mean, it doesn't clump, but it is quite thick cardstock. But I do want to work with this deck by the end of the year. I'm going on a trip later this month, and I was kind of debating bringing this one with me. But the one reason why I'm hesitant to do so is because the names of the suits have been changed. I mean, Stones is pretty self-explanatory, but Thunder, I know right now that Thunder is Swords because I was just playing with this deck the other day. Wands are Wands. But the court cards have also changed. So right now, I couldn't tell you what the root is. Knight perhaps? Not sure. So I know once you work with a deck for a certain length of time, those things come to you after you've played with them. Also, the borders are color-coded for the suits. It's really the court cards that mess me up in this deck, which is why we have this. I made a little post-it note to put on the back of the tin. But I did want to bring it with me on my trip. There's a couple reasons why I'm hesitating. I feel like there's another deck that I would rather bring, another travel size deck. I don't necessarily have a specific one in mind, but because this one is a struggle for me, I feel like I might prefer something else. Also, the tin does kind of take up quite a bit of room. Like it's bigger than other mini decks that I have. I wouldn't call this a mini deck, but I do like that it's in a tin though. It's quite protected. My other ones are not in tins. Oh, the Wild Unknown is. I don't know. We'll see. I've got some time to figure it out. I have a week to figure it out to see if this deck wants to come with me, but it is a deck that I've hardly worked with this deck since I got it, and I've had it for a while. I love the art style. I love the artwork, and that's what drew me to this deck. But I just don't know how practical it is for me and my desires out of a tarot deck and my practice. I really don't. So yes, I want to work with it just to see if this is one that does have a place in both my practice and my space, like physical space. So that is a deck that I have not worked with yet this year that I want to. Stay tuned to see if I pack that away on my trip. I only have a carry-on, so when you're only bringing a carry-on, your options are limited. So with this being the bigger of my travel size decks, I don't know if it's going to make the cut. Question 12. Fave video you've made or seen? I don't know. I see so many videos that I love. as for videos that I've made, my reintroduction video really kind of threw me for a loop because people made VRs to it, which I also talked about in my May wrap up. So that video kind of has a special place because it's brought people together in the tarot tube community, and people have made VRs to it. They've made their own responses to it, which is kind of special to me because that was never something that wasn't like a tarot tube bucket list item for me. And then it happened by accident. So I was like, what? And the only reason it was not a bucket list item was because I didn't think I could make it happen. I didn't think I could come up with something clever enough that people would do a VR to. And then look, it happened accidentally, organically on its own. So that video kind of stands out to me when I think about my favorite video that I've made. Another one that I've made that I really like is things I'm currently loving, because I love sharing what I love. But honestly, I love people's tarot tube videos. You could make a video about anything on tarot tube and I would eat it up. So that one's really difficult for me to say a favorite that I've seen. Last one, pull a card for the next 6 months, or pick a card whose energy you want to bring into the next 6 months. You know what? Let's use the Gentle Tarot. I just said I want to use it. I think I did this exact same thing last year. I used the deck that I didn't want to, I wanted to use an Oracle deck for this because I feel like there are some cards that come up in a tarot deck that I might be like, uh-oh. But let's use the deck I said I wanted to use. All right, we're going to go with pulling a card for the next 6 months. What do you got for me for the next 6 months, Gentle Tarot? Wheel of Fortune. Is there two? Yep. All right. Well, we have Wheel of Fortune and Seed of Stones. All right. Seed is the page. I believe the seed is the page. Yes. So Page of Pentacles and Wheel of Fortune. Ooh. Positive messages about something to do with the material realm, perhaps. I like that. I like that a lot. So we'll see. We'll see if that makes sense 6 months from now. I'll have to come back and watch this video because I probably won't remember. Story of my card pulling life. All right. That's it. That is my mid-year tarot tag. Can't believe we're here, but hey, such is life. So thank you for watching, and I will see you when I see you.